We're in today with the GT 705. This is a 2014 video card with 48 shaders. It's got 1 gig of VRAM DDR3 running at 874 MHz on the core clock and 825 MHz on the memory clock. It's got 64 bits bus width, DirectX 11, and we're gonna pair it up with this Intel W3690 with 6 cores and 12 threads. I think the best thing we can do for this display adapter is to just jump in a couple of games and see how it holds. Let's go. First off, let's start with World of Tanks. This is the game that allows me to understand how the video card is working, you know. So I put 1080p with minimal settings, and from here I understand how I need to proceed in the future so I can make the video card run properly. In this case, you can actually see that the video card is struggling to have a 60 FPS. So this is not okay, you know. It's got 1 gig of VRAM, but hopefully I will get this GPU working properly, you know. So let's take a look and see how we are doing. First off, I want to start with the CPU, because in this situation you can see that if I'm sniping I get like 26 FPS. Yes, so I have no problem with the CPU side. I got like 20-30% load on the CPU with 5.8 gig of system RAM being utilized. Funny thing, a side note, you remember I complained about MSI Afterburner that is showing me 3.6 gig on the frequency. Look, this FPS monitor is showing me properly 4 gig on the core speed, and I like it. Seriously, this is the way I need to be. I will look in the future and see maybe there is something wrong with MSI Afterburner, but for the moment this is the performance I get from this system. What the f— I like the performance, I like how it looks, I like how it's running, so nothing wrong here with this CPU and the system. With 710 I put 1366 or something to get more FPS. I think that was the solution, but instead of actually lowering the resolution because I have this FPS monitor, I will use render scale. So I will put this to 60% and we're gonna check it if it's working from there, you know. So I put 60% render scale. You see it looks very fuzzy, but I got 60 FPS. So 60 FPS with this, it's okay, you know. 1080p because it's got the maximum resolution. You can actually see here the core is maxed out, 57 degrees on this situation with maximum core load and only 0.6 gig of memory utilized here in order to give this performance. The problem is with this performance is that it doesn't average pretty well. But if we're jumping in Fortnite with this video card, you can actually see on 720p with 50% render scale, I got 70 FPS on average. I got 21 on minimal and 30 FPS on 1%. But the moment I go in a building, you'll notice that either I drop the FPS or increase. This is a very interesting performance if you're interested on playing Fortnite with a video card like this, you know, because there's a lot of things that I want to show you, because the moment I go, see, you get 70-80 FPS on average, and if you're going outside you're gonna drop the FPS a lot, you know, so the average will become less and less. In this situation you can actually see the moment you look at the map, the FPS drop to 30 and I can't do nothing. Seriously, in this situation the FPS, it's the best this video card can do. Every single time I'm driving outside, you know, on open world, you can actually see on 30 FPS. The moment I look at the map, you know, that's when 30 FPS comes, and it's not okay, you know. I'm not judging, you know, but ideal would be to have better FPS in this situation, but yeah. But if we're jumping in GTA 5 with this video card, you can actually see that the video card is barely capable of delivering the FPS. I got 35-40 FPS on average, and do remember this is 1024 with 50% render scale on upscale. It's not okay. Lost details and 50%. So 1024. I think not even 800 by 600 can save us in this situation. But regardless, this is what the video card can actually do. It doesn't do too much because it doesn't have the power. But overall, this is how it's running. If I want to go online, then I will be even worse, because I got the core at maximum, I got the VRAM at maximum. So in this situation you can see that the video card is not capable of pushing too many FPS, too many playable FPS. So the core is loaded, the VRAM is loaded, the temperature is 57. I mean, the radiator is not that big and it's got a small fan on it. Considering the 710 that I have previously didn't have a fan, and this one has, I will say, you know what, this is a big win. With 100% fan speed, I got 57 degrees, and it's okay, you know. It's a small radiator, small fan, it doesn't matter, but it's doing decent enough to cool the video card. I'm just curious, you know, I'm just curious what happens if I go into graphics and put VSync on half, what do you think happens? 30 FPS. This is the generic console experience, you know. So if I put 30 FPS limit, this is gonna be very interesting. Let me explain why. Because on 30 FPS, the core on the video card is not fully loaded. Yes, the VRAM is still 0.8 gig of VRAM. The wattage, you can actually see that managed to reach 150 watts consumption. Very interesting, you know. You can see that it's very stable with 30 FPS. This is a very interesting setting. If you put it like this, it feels like a console. But if we're jumping in Crossout with this video card, it's gonna be very hard to actually justify this. But I'm on the resolution is 720p with 50% render scale, and it barely gives me 50 FPS. Okay, so I'm in the testing zone and I want to jump in a game, and there I will see how much it's gonna give me on the real deal, you know. But here I just want to see how the video card is holding on average, and is doing a fantastic job in this case. All right, so overall performance is here with 30-40 FPS on average. You can actually see that it's struggling to actually do something here, but the GPU, it's not possible to actually deliver more FPS. Low resolution, maybe lower details. It's already low details and I can do nothing. I even put lower render scale, and it's struggling to deliver that performance, you know. So I will really question, you know, but it's good to see this type of game actually trying to do its best in order to deliver some FPS. But if we're jumping in Dishonored, you can actually see on 1024 with low details, the video card is struggling to keep 60 FPS. You can actually see that the video card is not capable of. You can see that the core is maxed out. Even though it's an offline game, I will still like to have 60 FPS, because here I'm only walking. Whenever I have to fight, whenever I have to cast some magic, I have to shoot or do something, I will drop in the FPS. So in this situation, this video card, you can actually see that it's on on an edge. The quality is not that great, you know. I got 50 FPS on average, but 36 on minimal, and I think that if I go on a fight, like I said, or move around the city, it will be even harder on the video card. There is a small chance to actually play the game, because you can actually see the system doesn't have any problem. 5.6 gig of system RAM being utilized, 20% load on the CPU. I mean, this Xeon is doing a fantastic job. So yeah, the system doesn't have any influence in this situation. You can use, for instance, MS Afterburner and limit the FPS to 30 or 40, and then you will be in a good position. But theoretically, ideal will be to have 60 FPS in the game, and you will be in that good position, you know. But you can actually see that it's very hard on the video card. I'm on 720p with low details. In this situation, the video card, it's only utilized on the core with 60-70% load. Comparing it to Dishonored, I think this is a fantastic performance. Plus it's 720p, you know. So in this situation, like in Dishonored, the video card is only being utilized with 200 megabytes of VRAM in this situation. It's got good temperature, the video card, but overall performance is great. I don't have to look on the CPU side, because you can actually see there is no usage on the threads and there is no usage on the cores, you know. So the CPU is doing a fantastic job. The only thing I'm interested is the GPU, and in this case you can see that it's utilizing 200 megabytes of VRAM, 8 minimal, 28, actually 40-50 on 1%, and that's actually good. There are two choices here, yes? Either I increase the resolution with low details, either I keep the low resolution and put more details in the game. This is the option that you have. Considering what amount of wattage I have here, 130, I will say this is an overall good performance. You know, Fallout, it's ideal for this video card. But if you're jumping in Euro Truck Simulator, you can actually see that I'm struggling to get 60 FPS. So theoretically, with 1080p low details with high shaders, I don't know why the shaders are big, but it looks okay, you know. You can actually see the quality in the game, it's not that bad. In this case, you can clearly see that the video card, it's capable of delivering some performance. I got 300 megabytes of VRAM utilization, but only, you see, when I'm here, I got 50% load on the core and 30 FPS. 300 megabytes of VRAM, the CPU is not loaded. Let me look and see if what's... Look what is lagging. Every single time I was changing to lower resolution, I had no problems. 60 FPS, everything was flat. You understand? I was like, dude, I have only 30% load on the video card. I need higher resolution. What's going on? And I realized, look at this. In this situation, I got 50% load on the video card, 300 megabytes of VRAM, and I was like, Why is it lagging? Seriously. Because in this situation, you can clearly see that the GPU is capable of delivering that FPS. In Galaxy on Fire, you can actually see on maximum details with 1080p, the GPU is doing a fantastic job. I got 58, 56 FPS on average. You can see that it's 100% loaded on the core. This is very important. I'm holding this position so I can see if I can do it like this. So in this case, I'm on the limit with maximum details. You can see it's using 400 megabytes of VRAM, and in some cases the FPS is sitting around 60 FPS, which, how should I say, the average is good, you understand, but the moment I move around, you can see that the load on the video card is dropping to 80%, in some cases to 90%. So there is, how should I say, depending on where you look and what you're doing, that's how the video card is going to perform. But majority of the time you will have a decent performance. You can actually see it's dipping a little, you know, but it doesn't drop below 50 FPS. It's got 33 FPS on minimal, and that is good, and an average of 60-61 FPS with 80-90% load on the core. Sometimes it's 100%, depending on the zone and how you look at the map. To be fair, there was very low chances on actually playing with a display adapter like this one and having a lot of FPS. I knew from the beginning it will not be a very, how should I say, entertaining benchmark, but I just had to show you how this display adapter is working, because I cannot call this a video card. It can run a couple of games. The only question here is what games do you put on a video card like that? Based on the specs this video card is got with 64 bits bus width, 1 gig of VRAM DDR3. It's a low profile video card with a small fan, but the majority of the time you will end up utilizing this as a media machine. But if there is any chance on actually using this video card for some gaming, what games can you put? I think it will be ideal to put older games. An offline machine that allows you to store and play some old games or stuff like that, it will be fantastic, seriously. When the necessity comes, you will prevail, that's it. But now that I have big video cards in my computer, I will say, let's put it on the side and maybe it will survive 10 more years. All jokes aside, if you have any suggestion for this video card or for the system, leave a comment and I will see you very soon.